Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this virtual tour of the holy site of Tabgha, where Jesus restored Peter's call that would transform his world and ours as well. So where is Tabgha and the Church of the Primacy of St. Peter? Well, if you've been at the Mount of Beatitudes first, just head on down the hill and the entrance is immediately after the Church of the Multiplication of the Fish and the Loaves. As we walk through the gates toward the church and the shores of the Sea of Galilee, we're blessed by beautiful gardens on our left and on our right. These remind us of new beginnings, just like Jesus proclaimed to Peter when Peter felt so dejected after he had denied Christ 3 times at the crucifixion. Now, let's walk down the path towards the church, situated along the shores of the beautiful Sea of Galilee. As we do this, I'll read from the scriptures that this church is based upon. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The 3rd time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the 3rd time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." As the scriptures indicate, this sacred spot commemorates the moment when Jesus appeared to his disciples after his resurrection and reinstated Peter as the leader of his flock. One of the sights we must see here is this beautiful statue of Peter and Jesus on the shores of the Galilee after his resurrection. I love the way Peter is humbly on his knees in complete surrender, and Jesus is stretching out his arms of love to bless him. It's a wonderful reminder that when we yield our lives to Jesus, he does not come in a domineering, demanding way, but with the voice of love and a heart of blessing. Now let's head into the church. This church is called the Church of the Primacy of St. Peter, but it also goes by the name Mensa Christi, which means the Lord's table, and you'll see why in a moment. This more modern but modest church is from 1933, but it includes parts from a church that was built in the 4th century. In fact, you can still see parts of the old church's foundation at the bottom of the walls across from the main altar. Now here is why this church is also called Mensa Christi, or the Lord's table. As we walk forward, we can see a special rock in front of the main altar. Tradition says it's where Jesus made breakfast for his apostles with bread and fish after his resurrection. This is where tradition says that Jesus appeared to his disciples for the 3rd time after his resurrection and told Peter, "Feed my sheep," as we just read from John chapter 21. Interestingly, back in the 9th century, people called this church the Place of the Coals. And that's because it was believed that this is the rock where Jesus cooked fish for his apostles on a charcoal fire. Now, whether this is the exact rock or another rock in the area, let's remember this. As we say again and again in this virtual Holy Land tour, these traditional sites are always a good place to stop, pause, pray, and ponder what Jesus is saying to us. In fact, before we head out to the Sea of Galilee, let's take a quiet moment to do just that and to spend some time speaking to and listening to our Savior. Maybe He's asking each of us, "Do you love me more than these?" And we can respond, "Jesus, you know I do." Stepping outside the church and on our way to the Sea of Galilee, we again see the beauty of the enchanting gardens surrounding it, offering a place of reflection and prayer. Thank you for joining us on this short virtual tour of Tabgha and the Church of the Primacy of St. Peter. I pray that you'll be reminded day by day that when God calls you and I to feed His sheep, that this is not a crushing demand, but a loving invitation to step out on a divine adventure with an eternal purpose and knowing that Jesus lovingly embraces you day by day by day. Until our next Break Forth virtual Holy Land tour, may God richly bless you.